Tonight we are dining at La Creperie de Paris in the France Pavilion in EPCOT. If you don't know, we do dining reviews every single Monday, so be sure to check those out. So La Creperie is the newest addition to the World Showcase as far as restaurants go. There's actually a pickup window outside and there is table service inside. So the line was super long for the pickup window and we actually walked right in and sat down here on the inside. So we're actually with our friends Mike and Steve tonight and we are super excited to try some crepes.
So here inside of the Creperie restaurant, the really thin pancakes restaurant, it's very echoey in here, so it's really loud. You're probably gonna hear a lot of like clanging and yelling, but it's really nice. I like that it's very bright in here, well themed. As far as like the menu goes, I am not somebody who's really ever had crepes before, so this is a first for me. If I had to choose, I would probably go with savory rather than the sweet, but being that there is a prefix menu which allows you to choose a soup, a savory, and a dessert, plus a drink, you kind of get to try everything. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited because I've never tried it before. I've never had a really thin pancake. Never had a crepe. They've never been like that much of interest to me, so why get it? So to start off this lovely evening here at the La Creperie, with with the prefix, you're only supposed to get one, but Mike didn't want his, so you know. I haven't really eaten that much today. Oh wow. So on the menu, they've got 4 different ciders that you can choose from. They've got a dry, a semi-sweet, a sweet, and a rosé. So with that being said, I didn't try the rosé. I don't usually like rosé. It's a little too like winey for me, winish. And I didn't try the dry, which is what Steve got. But both of the semi-sweets, they taste sweet. I can't really tell like a real like strong difference between the two. They're both just sweet. So if you're looking for a sweeter cider, go with the demi-sec or the dough. The dough. The dough? The dough. The dough?
How's your cider?
Mine's really good. So I got it because it's brut. I figured it's going to have some sort of champagne like flavor to it. But again, it does not. So it's made from apple. You definitely get that cider flavor on it. But because it's brut, it's a little bit drier and not as sugary and sweet. So I like that a little bit more. I was very concerned about ciders because I don't like that hoppy beer flavor that you sometimes get. I get none of that with this. So that's the way to go if you do have to try the cider like I had to with this prefix. So you're okay.
For the appetizer of our prefixed menu portion, you actually have 2 things you can choose from, which is a soup of the day. And right now it is a potato leek soup or basically kind of like a tossed salad. We all basically went for the soup here and potato leek soup. And when I think of potato leek soup, I always have loved potato leek soup from the UK Pavilion. What's the restaurant called again?
Rose and Crown.
Rose and Crown, yeah. It's really good. This one here, I think flavor-wise is okay. The consistency is a little odd. And Steve described it pretty well. It's very velvety. There's a lot of butter in there. And it could use maybe quite a bit of salt. But I mean, other than that, I mean, flavor-wise, I mean, I've almost eaten the whole thing, so it's still like it's okay, but could be better. Room for improvement. So we'll see. I'm waiting for the savory crepe. So for my, how do you say it? Galette? Galette. So for my galette, all right. So for my galette, buckwheat crepe. I went with the classique, which is ham, egg, and Swiss cheese. If you just get this by itself, it is $15.95. And I will say, as a first kind of reaction, I was quite surprised, obviously, because like my idea of crepes is when they're like all folded up and everything's inside. So this is like open, which, am I wrong? I don't know. Taylor's giving me a weird look on the other side of the camera. So not quite what I expected. I guess I didn't know what to expect with an egg. This is an over easy egg, which means I can, pop it open, it's gonna run out. So I kind of thought maybe it'd be scrambled. I don't know why, but looks pretty good. So dive in and try it. Taylor's giving me all kinds of looks, but let's go for it. my classic crepe was, in my opinion, I thought it was pretty good. Now, what I really like about doing dining reviews, especially with other people sometimes, is that they have tried more things than I have tried. So they kind of have like a basis of what to expect and what they should know, which is why I always like to say in these dining reviews too, which I don't always say, but I try to, is that just because we enjoy something or we don't like something doesn't mean that you're going to feel the same way. Because like for me, I've never had a crepe before, so what they put on the plate, I expected that to just be a traditional type of French crepe that I would get anywhere. I didn't know any better, but it was still good. I do think it was still lacking a little bit in the salts, but I did like the buckwheat in some, like, as it got kind of to the edges, it almost became a little bit crispy, and I like that added a little bit of a different texture with it, even though that might be like heresy. It should never be like that. It should always be, softer. I don't know. But overall, I enjoyed it. I would probably come back and get it again, but I would definitely try something else, because you guys know me, I always look to try something different, so who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. I'm really kind of dreading the sweet part, because that I'm just not sure of. But we'll see.
They cook the egg really, really well. I do have to say, though, the buckwheat crepe is kind of throwing me off. I've had savory crepes before, and usually it's a classic preparation with it's like a sweet crepe. You just skip the sugar. So this buckwheat adds a little bit of flavor. I think it adds a little, like, almost a toughness to it. I don't know.
So I have to admit, with the buckwheat crepe, like Josh, I was a little bit thrown off because, again, it's not what we traditionally have. It does have a really toughness to it. It may have just been sitting out for too long. Maybe it was prepared maybe 5 minutes earlier than it got to our table. I don't know. But, like, again, everything's kind of lacking some salt in this. And this has raclette. And raclette typically has a salt taste to it. It's completely absent in all this. So it's not bad. It's just not a home run. So the caramelized onions are pretty translucent, but they don't have that burn that I love with a good caramelized onion, right? So all things considered, for the price, I think this is like $15.95. I think it's priced a little bit high for what it is.
For my galette, I had the Savoyard. This is raclette cheese, caramelized onions, bacon, and imported Bayonne ham, which is kind of like a prosciutto. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. I do wish it was a little more salty. I feel like that's been like a theme throughout this meal, is we need more salt. But overall, it was a pretty decent dish. I did like that there was quite a bit of cheese in there. I don't like when I order something and it says that there's cheese in it and then you barely taste the cheese, so that was nice that there was a good amount of cheese. Now, Josh said that he liked how it was a little bit crispy around the edges. I did not like that. I liked how it was in the center, how it was like nice and soft. I did not like it on the edges, so I kind of cut the crust off around the edges. But yeah, I would probably come back and try it again. But same thing as Josh, I would get something different. Steve actually had the same crepe as me, and then Mike had the same one as Josh. So
Thank you.
We all had pretty similar thoughts about the crepes.
All right, so as I mentioned, I have the Melba. This is a very, very good crepe. I like this. This is kind of what I was expecting more of our savory crepe to be like, just with a more savory filling. But this crepe is cooked a lot better, more traditional in style, and I think the filling is really good too. So, yeah.
I agree with Mike. I like how this one is cooked much better. It's much more light and airy, and I feel like the buckwheat was just like thicker almost, and made it a little more dense and not so light and airy. So this is much better. I just got the hazelnut, so it doesn't have like a major filling in it. It's just the hazelnut spread, but it is very good.
My dessert crepe is the Melba, which is peach, red berry sauce, and almonds. There's also, it looks like blueberries in here, which it doesn't say that, it just says red berry sauce with peach. Unpopular opinion. I'm not a fan. But it's not that it's bad, because it's not bad. I think it's just one of those things that just doesn't really like fit my palate. I'm not a huge fan of cooked blueberries, like a blueberry pie. I don't really like that. I'm really more of like well, that's banana, but like apple pie, kind of that way. So is it good? I think it is probably pretty good, and I think most people would really enjoy it. But for me, it's just, you know, I don't know. I think the other thing is I kind of expected the actual crepe itself to be a little bit sweeter, and to me, it's just kind of bland almost. But again, I mean, everybody's laughing at me on the other side of the camera, so
I somewhat agree with you.
I mean, again, I don't really eat crepes, and now I know why. Except unless they're the buckwheat ones, which aren't traditional, but I like them. All right, so we just finished eating inside at the La Creperie here in the France Pavilion,
Yeah.
right next to Ratatouille, and it was okay, pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought so.
I think overall it was pretty good. It was a nice little addition here to the France Pavilion. I know a lot of people like crepes. This is a huge area now with the addition of Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. So this is a nice little place to, you know, kind of hang out if you're waiting for your boarding pass or whatever. So
Yeah, and we're still a little confused as to why it's so easy to sit inside and the line outside is still incredibly long.
I think because people want to go. You know, that way they don't have to sit down in there. Maybe they already sat and ate. Maybe they're just doing festival foods. So they just want to eat outside and keep walking or whatever. But I would definitely come back to the window and get one of the dessert crepes. It was pretty good, but I feel like we probably don't need to come back for a little while. There's just so many other places to explore.
And it is decently priced at $33.
Oh my gosh,
for the
yeah,
prefix.
that is super cheap.
I actually think it would be a good idea for just a couple to be able to come in and just do one.
Yeah.
You can. That way you're splitting $33 between two people.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it's even cheaper. Maybe, you know, get an additional drink if you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, it was okay. And yeah, I agree. I don't know that we need to come back, but
Yeah.
so.
Another great option here in Epcot, though,
Sure.
if it's something you're interested in. So let us know if you plan on coming to La Creperie here in Epcot.